Okay, so when we talk about healing, we tend to think about the most obvious stuff, right?
Hmm.
Like a scrape healing up or getting over a cold.
Yeah.
But what if that's kind of just scratching the surface?
Right.
What if healing can actually touch so many other parts of us? I mean, think about it. Our minds, how we connect with people, even that feeling of inner peace.
That's exactly the kind of territory we're going to be exploring in this deep dive.
Yes.
We're going to look at just how many ways healing can show up in our lives
Yeah.
and what kind of amazing potential we humans have inside of us.
It's really exciting stuff, and this deep dive is made for you, the listener.
Yeah, we want you to walk away feeling like you've really gotten a solid grasp on things, but without feeling overwhelmed.
Exactly. We've pulled together a super diverse collection of material for this one.
That's right, we're talking ancient wisdom alongside modern ideas,
Yeah.
and even looking at different cultural views.
All to really unpack this concept of healing and pull out the most insightful stuff for you guys.
Exactly.
I'm Sarah,
And I'm Tom.
and we're your guides for this journey.
Let's get started.
Okay, Tom, let's dive right in.
Let's do it.
When we're talking about healing, especially those kind of foundational ideas, a lot of people turn to the Bible for some pretty powerful starting points.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just look at Exodus 15.26.
Okay.
God says, I am the Lord that healeth thee.
Powerful stuff right there.
Absolutely. And it's right there early on in the Exodus story, after the Israelites have finally escaped Egypt.
It's like this huge statement.
It really establishes God not just as their liberator,
Right.
but also the one who brings healing,
Mm-hmm.
both physically and I think maybe metaphorically for this brand new nation they're forming.
Right.
Then you've got Isaiah 53.5.
Okay.
By his strikes we are healed, which a lot of people connect to Jesus' work later on,
That makes sense.
suggesting a path to healing through his suffering.
And when you look at Jesus' time on earth, it wasn't like healing were this rare thing he did every now and then.
Not at all.
It was front and center in his whole mission.
Totally. The Gospels are full of these incredible stories about healing.
Exactly. Think about the leper in Mark 1.
Right.
It's not just about the physical sickness with leprosy.
No, leprosy meant being completely cut off from society,
And yet Jesus reaches out to this guy,
breaking all the social rules.
touches him and says, I will, be thou clean. And boom, just like that, he's healed.
Instantaneously.
Or that woman in Luke 8.
Yeah, the one who'd been suffering for years and years.
In this incredible moment of faith, she touches Jesus' cloak and bam, she's healed too.
It's remarkable.
These stories, they're not just about physical fixes, are they?
No, they point to something much deeper, a total restoration.
It's interesting too how different each healing is.
You're right. Sometimes it's direct command, other times it's a touch.
And there are so many cases where the person's belief seems to be this key part of it all.
Exactly. It's like healing isn't a one-size-fits-all thing.
No, it's not even within this one tradition.
And so often those acts of healing are tied to forgiveness, being welcomed back into the community.
It's like a much bigger picture of well-being.
Definitely one that goes way beyond just the physical body.
Which makes me think about that verse in James 5.14:15.
Yeah, what does it say?
Is any sick among you? Let him call for the elders of the church, and let them pray over him, anointing him with oil in the name of the Lord. And the prayer of faith shall save the sick, and the Lord shall raise him up.
That's powerful.
It feels like such clear instructions,
Yeah, for something that the community is supposed to do together.
all focused on healing.
It makes healing an active responsibility within the faith community.
And that story of the paralytic man who gets lowered through the roof in Mark 2,
What a story.
it's not just his faith that gets him there.
Right, it's the incredible faith of his friends who are determined to get him to Jesus.
And what does Jesus do?
He addresses both the physical, rise, take up thy bed, and walk.
And the spiritual.
Why sins be forgiven thee.
It really drives home how connected our physical, emotional, and spiritual states are.
It's a theme we see pop up in a lot of different ideas about healing.
And it makes me think about healing ministries.
Yeah, those movements and individuals throughout history who've really zeroed in on this aspect of faith,
People like William Branham.
who was known for what people called the gift of discernment.
It's like a claimed divine ability to see what was wrong with people.
Right, this idea that he had insight into their illnesses that came directly from God,
And Catherine Kuhlman.
whose miracle services were massive.
Thousands of people.
Huge crowds drawn to these events.
And it's fascinating to think about the scale of these ministries and just how much faith was involved.
Totally. I mean, Catherine Coleman would have these gatherings with thousands and thousands of people.
And so many of them truly believed they were experiencing miracles right there in front of them.
It's pretty amazing. She had this famous quote, "The only thing that can limit God is your unbelief."
It really gets to the core of what a lot of these ministries believe.
This idea that strong, unwavering faith can unlock divine intervention.
And healing.
It's a really complex area, though, isn't it?
It is. You get such strong reactions from people.
You've got folks who genuinely believe they've seen or experienced these divine healings.
And then you've got those who are more skeptical, questioning whether these events really are what they seem.
Exactly.
It makes you wonder what you personally believe is possible.
Right? Are supernatural healings still happening in our world today?
If we go back to the Bible, those verses in Matthew 10:8 are often cited as the foundation for healing ministries.
Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils. Freely ye have received, freely give.
For those involved in healing ministries, this is like a direct command from Jesus
It's a call to take action.
to put their faith to work and try to bring healing to others.
Exactly.
Let's shift gears a little and talk about some other really interesting aspects of healing.
Sounds good.
You know, science is showing us more and more about the link between our diet and our overall health.
Totally. Even our body's ability to repair and heal itself.
It's such a powerful connection.
It is. And, it's interesting to see this idea even in the Bible.
Really?
The story of Daniel and his friends in Daniel chapter 1 comes to mind.
Oh yeah, what happens there?
Well, they asked to eat a simple diet for 10 days. Just veggies and water.
Instead of the rich food everyone else was eating.
Right, the food from the king's table. And the Bible says that after those 10 days, they actually looked healthier,
Wow.
better nourished than the people who ate the fancy food.
It's not just presented as a preference either, is it?
No, it's like a guide, a blueprint for a detox.
For both body and mind.
And when you think about what we know now about the gut-brain connection,
How what we eat affects our thinking and our emotions.
it's pretty amazing how this ancient story seems to line up with modern science.
It makes you wonder what other natural things might have healing powers.
Like sound frequencies.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more about that.
Well, there's been some research into specific frequencies, like 432 hertz music,
Okay.
and how it might calm people down, reduce anxiety.
So there's actual science behind this.
Some studies suggest it resonates with our bodies in a different way, maybe even with the Earth's frequencies.
It makes you think about that story of David playing the harp for King Saul.
In 1 Samuel 16.23,
It says that when David played, Saul felt relief. The bad spirit left him.
I mean, was it just that the music was soothing?
Or could it have been something about the specific notes David was playing, the frequencies?
It's definitely something to ponder.
There's also the whole concept of the aura.
Yeah, which isn't something we find spelled out in the Bible.
Right. In a lot of spiritual traditions, though, the aura is seen as this energy field around the body.
Reflecting a person's physical, emotional, and spiritual state.
And even though we don't see the word aura in the Bible,
There are parts where God's glory or presence shows up as light,
right, like in Exodus 34,
when Moses comes down from Mount Sinai.
and his face is glowing so brightly.
People are afraid to go near him.
It's not exactly an aura in the way people talk about it today.
But it is this idea that spiritual energy can have a real effect. You
Yeah.
can even see it.
It suggests a connection between our inner spiritual state and our physical well-being.
It does. And speaking of spirituality, let's take a look at healing from a different cultural angle.
Okay.
African spirituality.
A lot of African traditions view health and healing in this really holistic way.
It's all connected to community ancestry, the spiritual realm.
They have traditional healers like the Sangomas in southern
You
Africa,
use all sorts of things.
herbs, rituals, communication with ancestors.
It's a completely different approach.
What strikes me is how much emphasis there is on connection.
Yeah, the Ubuntu philosophy, I am because we are.
It reminds me of that verse in Proverbs 17.22, "A merry heart doeth good like a medicine."
It's like this ancient recognition that our social connections, our joy, our sense of belonging, they're all crucial for good health.
But we've got to acknowledge that a lot of times African spiritual practices are labeled as pagan or at odds with other religions.
It's a shame, really, because it raises a big question
Could we be missing out on important insights?
about community well-being and healing.
Just because of cultural biases.
It challenges us to be open-minded.
To look at different belief systems with a discerning eye.
And we see this clash of traditions play out in real life,
In places like South Africa with the St. John's Apostolic Faith Mission.
which mixes Christian worship with traditional African ancestral reverence.
It's caused some controversy.
It really makes you think about how faith and cultural heritage can get woven together.
And how that shapes a community's understanding of healing.
Now, all of this brings us to something super important in the healing process.
What's that?
Our own potential as humans.
Oh, I like that.
We've talked about faith external factors.
But what about what's going on inside us?
Our mindset can play a huge role in our ability to heal and thrive.
I totally agree with that. And there's that verse in Philippians 4.13. I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me.
Whatever your beliefs, that speaks to the resilience we have as humans.
Our capacity to persevere.
And studies are backing this up. There's research suggesting that cancer patients who stay positive, who actively participate in their healing process,
They may actually outlive their initial prognosis.
it's like having a strong will to live can actually affect what happens physically.
The mental aspect is huge.
It's that don't give up attitude.
It's like an inner strength that can help the body cope and heal.
And this isn't just about our physical and mental health either.
It's about healing our relationships too.
Right, Matthew 5.23-24 says, Therefore, if thou bring thy gift to the altar, and there rememberest that thy brother hath aught against thee, leave there thy gift before the altar and go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and offer thy gift.
It's like a priority list.
It is, reconciliation comes first.
It's that important.
Because broken relationships, they create these deep wounds.
The wounds of the soul.
And those wounds can have a real impact on us physically.
I've heard that holding on to grudges raises your cortisol levels,
It does. Cortisol is the stress hormone.
whereas forgiveness is linked to lower cortisol.
And better overall well-being.
It's incredible to think about how our emotions can have such a physical impact.
They really can. And there's this amazing example of relational and societal healing.
Tell me about it.
The reconciliation villages in Rwanda after the genocide.
Communities that went through unimaginable violence, finding a way to rebuild trust, to live together again,
It's a testament to how powerful healing can be.
even for the deepest hurts.
But we also have to talk about the need for healing on a global level.
It's overwhelming when you think about all the conflicts, the environmental crises, the injustice.
It is, but there are principles we can turn to even in the face of such huge challenges.
Like what?
Isaiah 61.1-4 talks about bringing good news to the poor, binding up the brokenhearted, repairing ruined cities.
So how can we each play a part in this massive healing project?
Well, it starts with small steps, things we can do as individuals,
Okay.
like a daily gratitude practice.
I love that idea. It's like Proverbs 3.8 talks about.
Health and well-being.
It's such a simple thing, but it can ripple outward,
It can, and creating safe spaces in our communities.
where people can share their stories, feel heard, connect with each other.
That's vital. And on a bigger scale, we need to fight for justice.
Like Amos 5.24 says,
There are so many ways to contribute.
mentoring a young person,
Supporting mental health organizations.
getting involved in faith-based groups that focus on healing trauma.
Every little bit helps.
So we've come to the end of this deep dive.
And I think it's clear that healing can happen in so many ways.
As many ways as we experience life itself.
From the spiritual to the physical. From ancient wisdom to modern understanding.
From our own inner strength to the power of community.
It's pretty remarkable.
It really is. And now it's your turn, listener.
We encourage you to think about all these different aspects of healing we've explored.
How you might experience them in your own life and in the lives of people you care about.
Maybe today you could take some time to pray for someone.
Or send positive thoughts their way.
Someone who needs healing.
Whether it's physical, emotional, relational.
Maybe try one of the practices we mentioned.
Find a 432 hertz meditation.
Or just pay more attention to what you eat and how it affects you.
And if you've found this deep dive helpful,
Share it with someone who you think might need to hear it.
because healing isn't always something that just happens to us.
It's a journey we actively take part in.
Together.
So remember,
Healing isn't just a possibility.
it's a call to action.
Go live yours.